It's. I think what I've learned is that sort of keeping it simpler and make less is more. I had a conversation with our great visual effects guy David early on. He told me every move I make, like on my screen, then that is X amount of hours of work for them to then sync something to it. So I've learned to keep things very simple and small. And if you ever see me kind of doing this and going crazy, you'll know that like I'm pissed off at David and want to give him a lot of extra work.
It's true. He's totally done it. He's like, let's tone it down a little bit because there's just a lot going on. Beep. We're good. In the third episode, the Hawkeye system gets introduced, and it's almost, I guess some people see it as an invasion of privacy because it's ultimately like Big Brother, just watching every single move. It records your anxiety to that level of invasion of your privacy, but at the same time, I think if it were in the real world, it would be beneficial because it's more accurate police profiling and it would avoid a lot of mistakes that are a big issue today. So.
It is so timely. I mean, I was reading an article in the New York Times last week about predictive policing in police forces across the country, and it's precisely what this show is sort of looking at and kind of tackling and trying to kind of figure out the morality of it and the line between privacy and in the era of like Snowden and all of this, I think our show has the potential to really examine key issues that will, I think, in years in the future will be like this was the time that all that kind of got parsed out and figured out, and it's been exciting to continue that dialogue. I think from the movie, it started in the movie, and now to be able to do that in the show.
Like one specific thing is that Vega wears pop can. So I think that's really
right. In the future, that's a standard thing.
Yeah.
Whereas now we've seen people pushing for that, and certain police forces have it. But it's been cool to kind of look into the future and see how these issues are dealt with.
And also, not just on that aspect, just diversity in the future. Everybody, it's a huge melting pot. Even the cast itself were diverse, and then also the background actors are all mixed. They're beautiful, and that's exactly, I think, how the future will be.
For me, I think there's been this sort of line with Wally where he loves these precogs like he loves no one else in the world. And back in the old days, he was like their father. That's how he felt anyway. They were like children to him, and he cared for them, and he made sure they were all right. But at the same time, he was a cog in the wheel of this machine that was basically enslaving them. And so now in the present day, with where the series picks up, Wally has this sort of dual thing in relation to them. He loves them and he wants to protect them, and yet he has this kind of guilt about being a part of the thing that kind of enslaved them. And so as this series progresses, for me as an actor, one of the coolest things that the writers are doing is exploring that with Wally, and it goes in some really dark and interesting places, especially as we get to episodes 9 and 10. Wally's really kind of put in a situation to pledge his allegiance to one side or the other. So that's a little tease of things to come.
I think for Akila's character, other than the face tattoo, which we will find out very soon why she has one, she's all fun and she's goofy and she's got great wardrobe all the time, but once we learn more about Akila's background, it's a little more dark than what we are used to seeing. So that'll come to the surface very soon. Were you
Well, just sort of personally, it was really a great thrill for me to get the call that I was going to get to do this character again after almost 15 years. That's a really unusual phone call to get. That was really exciting because, playing Wally in the movie was one of my greatest, happiest, best experiences just in my life. So that's been really exciting. But I mean, it was very clear from the get-go on the series that this was its own thing and its own entity. And we were picking, like we've talked about, we picked up on some of the themes and some of the certainly the characters from the movie. But I think from the beginning we felt like this was
the film is much darker, even just on camera. It's much darker, much more rough. Yeah. But it's lighter. It's obviously has the future. The technology has developed over the 10 years, so it's different in that way. But there is a lot of pressure with fans of the film who are expecting it to be a certain way, just as any fans would expect a movie made from a book would be.
Right.
So that's the only tough part. But we're very happy we're very proud of what we have, and it has made into its own thing. So.
Right. And we really bonded as a cast and a crew really quickly, and so it became sort of its own entity really quickly, and almost kind of just like went running with it.